Vedika Bahl is here in studio. Vedika, in today's edition, you're turning to Canada. The big question there, could it be the United States' 51st state? President-elect Donald Trump has said it would be a great idea, in his words, if Canadians were to do so. He's continuing to taunt Justin Trudeau over what began as a tariff dispute. Tell us more.
That's right, Sharon. Donald Trump has made a series of jabs at Justin Trudeau's expense, saying that many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state, that they would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it is a great idea. Now, it's not the first time Trump has publicly mused this little joke either. He also brought it up at a dinner at his Mar-a-Lago residence back in late November, where Trudeau was also in attendance. And reportedly, the reaction to that joke was one of laughter by the crowd. Now, just days after that took place, Trump then posted this AI-generated image on his Instagram account, showing himself looking out over the Canadian mountains. Now, for many, this running gag is in bad taste, considering the timing. Canada's currently in the middle of a political crisis after the shock resignation earlier this week of the Canadian Deputy Prime Minister. Trudeau is also battling low approval ratings, and Canadians are in the middle of a cost of living crisis as well. So some do say that these taunts are in bad taste. But what's very much at the heart of this is, in fact, a tariff dispute. Trump has threatened to slam a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods if Canada doesn't ramp up its efforts to curb illegal immigration at the shared border and to stop fentanyl drug trafficking. So according to Fox News, the idea behind this idea of a 51st state by Trump is that if Canada isn't willing to pay up with these tariffs, that it should then just merge within the US in order to avoid them. Now, Trump has also, to add some salt onto the wound there, Trump has also continuously referred to Trudeau as Governor Trudeau of the great state of Canada. Governor, of course, being a leader of one of the 50 US states. And it's not just online that he's been making these jabs. He also has done this on national television here, mentioning the same concept in an exclusive interview with NBC News. So, Sharon, this might have very much started as a jab, but Trump really is doubling down on this little taunt there with Trudeau.
How likely, though, is it to actually happen, or is it even possible, Vedika?
Well, Sharon, with Trump's constant references and, of course, the political backdrop in Canada at the moment, this has come into the forefront. And some Canadians are now really wondering about the reality of this, of what really could take place. Now, I just want to preface that this is a very unlikely scenario, and there are a lot of practical and political obstacles. Now, one of them would be the constitutional monarchy, of course, because Canada's head of state is King Charles III. And if Canada was to join the US, this would then have to end, and that would be very complicated to detach. Again, another obstacle there would be the sheer size of Canada as well. Theoretically, if it was to join the US, it would be the most populous single state, even more populous than the state of California. Also, in terms of the size, the entirety of Canada, the territories and the provinces, it would be larger than all of the 50 US states. So again, administratively, that would be very, very complex. But technically, if you really want to get into it, there are technically some possibilities. The first one I want to talk about is the constitutional and legal route. So that is, if all of Canada or some of Canada wanted to join the US, they would have to abide by Section 41 of the Canadian Constitution Act of 1982. And what that means is that it would require the support of both chambers in the Canadian Parliament, as well as the support of all 10 provinces. So unanimity across the board. And that includes the state of Francophone Quebec, which has its own political culture. So again, this unanimity there across the board really shows us how unlikely this really is. Now, if we go across to the constitutional and legal side in the US, it is a lot simpler of a process. Congress can create a new state by just passing a federal law. They have done that before. That's exactly how they admitted Hawaii into the United States back in 1959. Now, another route that is technically possible is by purchase. The US has previously purchased several of its states. It purchased Louisiana, for example, from France, and it purchased Florida from Spain. So again, possibly it is technically possible, theoretically, but of course we know that Canada isn't for sale, so this again remains highly unlikely. The last route there would be invasion, but evidently that is the most unlikely of all of these options. But Sharon, the biggest obstacle here remains public opinion. Now, I know Trump, in that initial post on Truth Social, said that many Canadians want to be part of the 51st state and they want Canada to be a part of that. Public opinion says otherwise. This is a poll, a recent poll, online poll by a public opinion survey in Canada. It found that only 13% of Canadians actually support this idea, 82% remain opposed. So I think we can safely say, Sharon, that this is very unlikely to happen. It does remain a hypothetical scenario for the moment. But of course, Trump does keep mentioning it and bringing it up and taunting Trudeau as well. So we will have to see how this pans out in the coming days.